What's going on, guys? Today I'm back with another hat format replay review for you guys. If you're interested in sending in your hat format replays, you can go down to the video description and find all the information on how to go about sending those in. Anyways, the match I have for you today, we have Mill Team 4 Queen, who is going to be on kind of a teched out cat deck, versus Alex 66, who is going to be on Plant Princess. Two very kind of interesting decks in their own way, so this should be a interesting match, so let's get straight into it. Here, it looks like 4 Queen will win the Rock, Paper, Scissors and get to start this one out. Opening hands, we see Traptrix Dianea, Traptrick Traphole Nightmare, Secret Barrel, Compulse, and Moral Tack. And on the other side, we see Talea, Skill Drain, Miracle Fertilizer, Maxi, and Phoenix Wing Windblast. And here, 4 Queen will get a draw for turn, getting a copy of Call of the Haunted. So kind of a bit of an awkward hand starting out, so let's see how they go about this. It looks like they're just going to set 4 back row and pass it over to Alex, who gets a copy of Curry Bandit, so a very strong draw from them there. So here, they're going to summon that Curry Bandit, go to battle phase, and attack in main phase 2, setting 2 back row, and in end phase, activating Curry Bandit, tributing itself off, and excavating a copy of Barbaros, Bottomless, Soul Charge, Titanial, and another copy of Barbaros, and from here they're going to take that copy of Soul Charge for their follow-up if need be, over to 4 Queen, who is going to get a copy of Bottomless of their own, and they're going to take a second to think. They're going to summon Dianea just to apply a bit of pressure. They don't really have the greatest hand here, and then they are going to set that copy of Bottomless back over to Alex, who gets another copy of Talea. And starting out, they are going to use that Miracle Fertilizer, use the effect, and bring back that copy of Titanial, go to battle phase, and swing in. Here, it looks like Compulse is going to be activated, and Titanial is going to use its effect that when a card or effect is activated that targets a card's on the field, quick effect, you can tribute 1 face-up plant monster, negate the activation if you do destroy it. So here, they're doing that simply to get this card in graveyard, because you don't want to really be bricking on the princesses unless you have, for example, trade-in or something. And given, they do have the Wing Blast, but they'd probably much rather get rid of one of these copies of Talea, so then when they do go for Soul Charge, they'll be able to have multiple bodies. But anyways, the Miracle Fertilizer will also go to graveyard because the Titanial did go to the graveyard here. And then back over to 4 Queen, who gets another copy of Secret Barrel. Again, very interesting to see this card in, a cat deck. I'm not really sure what the added purpose is. Maybe just as the game goes on, this card becomes a little better simply because you can burn your opponent out. Especially if they, for example, go for a Soul Charge and they choose their targets and then you chain this, because in a way you can sort of overpay on Soul Charge. So anyways, here they're just going to go to battle phase and attack in for 17, set that copy of Secret Barrel, and back over to Alex, who gets a copy of Call of the Haunted. Not a terrible draw there, honestly. And here they're going to go for a Soul Charge to bring back Barbaros and the copy of Titanial, paying 2,000, and here Secret Barrel is going to activate, and the second one is going to activate as well. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 from each of them. So that will be game, but they can chain this copy of Maxi as well as the Wing Blast to be able to lower that count a bit. And that's exactly what they're going to do, and then activate that to put the copy of Dianea back on top of the deck. So when this resolves, it should be, was this 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, I believe. So they'd have 200 left, if I'm not mistaken. Here, the Bottomless is also going to be chained on that whole stack there, since that was on summon still. They are still, I guess, still in the window there. And here, it looks like they actually have, 1,000. So I guess, because the last thing to happen is going to be the Bottomless. So by the time the Secret Barrel is resolved, they actually had even less cards on field. So it kept them off of, the monsters, but it didn't do as much damage. 4 Queen does have this copy of Call of the Haunted, so maybe that could come in a little clutch later on, but we will have to see. You're getting a copy of Dianea, which they can summon, and they are just going to attack, and Call the Haunted's going to be able to be activated, targeting the copy of Talea. They're just going to go to main phase 2, set the Call the Haunted. They don't really have anything going for them here, so back over to Alex, who gets a copy of Lone Fire. Very strong draw here. They're going to summon it, use the effect, tribute it off for another copy of Talea, and this one's kind of cool. It gains 100 attack for each plant monster you control, and then other plant monsters on the field cannot be destroyed by card effects. And so since they have 2 of them, it makes so neither one of them will be able to be destroyed by card effects here. Going to battle phase, running over the Dionea, and then attacking in, and back over to 4 Queen, who gets a copy of Card D. That's a pretty decent draw here, but they are just going to set it, because if not, they'd be, dead to the attacks here. They're going to go and swing in, and Call the Haunted will be chained, summoning back the Dionea, and then they are going to redeclare into the Dionea, and they also, I guess, chose not to reset the copy of Bottomless here when this card is special summoned. So that is kind of interesting, though at the same time, these will just protect the other plants, so there is an argument not to even do that. I don't think it's mandatory or anything. When this card is special summoned, you can, yeah. So they don't even have to reset it here. But they're somehow staying alive. Both players very low. Here, Moral Attack is drawn, but not gonna do it there. So Alex does take it with the Plant Princess in game 1. So moving on into game number 2, this time 4 Queen will get to start out yet again. Already looking like a better hand, we see Moral Attack, Call the Haunted, Card D, Solemn Warning, and Ignition. And on the other side, we see Max C, Barbaros, Curry Bandit, Trade-In, and Soul Charge. So also a pretty decent hand here from Alex. But anyways, here, 4 Queen will get a draw for turn, getting in the copy of that Secret Barrel. Again, very interesting card in the Cat deck. Here, it looks like they're going to just set 3 back row, holding the Secret Barrel and Call the Haunted here, which makes sense on the Call the Haunted. Though I guess if you're thinking that you're gonna go against crows maybe or something, maybe the Call the Haunted would be a good choice for if you ignition pop your Moral Attack and then they crow it, you can chain the Call the Haunted. But here going for that Card D and using the effect to draw 2, getting a copy of Duality and Mermail, so 2 very strong draws here. And here, Alex is going to get a copy of that Miracle Fertilizer. They're going to use Trade-In, getting rid of Barbaros and drawing a Wing Blast and Talea. And after that, going for that Curry Bandit play again. And here, it looks like they are going to go for that Ignition play. Maxi is going to be chained. Moral Attack is going to be summoned. And here it looks like Alex drew a copy of Card Trooper. The Moral Attack is going to use its effect and pop the Curry Bandit. They kind of went out of order there, but, it's not really relevant in this situation. Obviously, we see they didn't have any other types of responses here. Setting another copy of Moral Attack. Main phase 2, it looks like they're going to set the Wing Blast and pass it over to 4 Queen, who gets a copy of Compulse there. Go to battle phase and attack in. Here, Wing Blast is going to activate, stacking the copy of Moral Attack, and then, discarding that copy of Talea, getting it in graveyard for the Miracle Fertilizer or Soul Charge. Main phase 2, Mermail is going to summon, adding that copy of Bottomless, and Duality, revealing Dionea, Mermail, and Card D, taking the copy of Dionea since they do have access to Mermail now, setting 3 back row over to Alex, who gets a copy of Wiretap. A little interesting to see that when you're going second. I think something like MST might have been a little more relevant, though I guess this is a little more targeted as well. But anyways, here they're going to normal summon the copy of Card Trooper, use the effect, milling Curry Bandit, a copy of Cherubime, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that one, and then a copy of Call the Haunted, okay, and then go battle phase and attack over the Mermail. And from here over to Mill Team, who gets a copy of Secret Barrel. So now they have 2 of them, but it won't really do the most damage given that Alex doesn't really have that many cards in rotation. They're going to summon Dionea, bring back the Mermail, and then overlay for a copy of Dweller, use the effect, and run over the Card Trooper back over to Alex, who gets a copy of Redox. And here they're going to go for the Miracle Fertilizer, and they're going to bring back the copy of Cherubime. And they say it's good, which honestly, if you have like Bottomless or something, that might be a good place, because I think this one, let me see, if this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, yeah. So maybe if they were to, say, Bottomless this or something and get it out of the way, then it wouldn't be too much of a threat, though they do have so much back row that they're probably going to out this regardless. But here, attacking over the Dweller, or trying to, but Compulse is going to activate. And like even there, you've already seen Trade-In from this player. So by compulsing, you might have just turned on live one of their copies of Trade-In. So I think realistically, the Bottomless probably was the better play, because even now you've just turned on their copy of Redox. So I think that might have been a little misstep there, but we will see how it plays out. Here, main phase 2, they are going to use that Redox and then bring back the Cherubime. They say it's good. Will we see the bottomless here? We will. Okay, so now they chose to use it, whereas, like, had they done that before, they would have still had their copy of Compulse. But anyways, Wiretap is going to be set, and in the end phase, Call the Haunted is going to bring back Mermail. Mermail effect is going to pop the back row. Here, 4 Queen gets a copy of Max C, goes to battle phase, and attacks in. Doing quite a lot of damage here, and they are going to set another back row. Back over to Alex, who gets a copy of Miracle Fertilizer. Very good draw for them here. So let's see how they choose to go about this. Here they are going to use the Fertilizer first, bringing back that copy of Talea, and then just going to battle phase and attacking over the Mermail, and then they're just going to pass it over there. So not even walling up with the Redox or anything like that. Just hoping that, you know, the opponent can't out this copy of Talea, which I guess in a sense that they can't right now, really, but at the same time, having stuff like these Secret Barrels actually might put in a little bit of work, but we'll also just have to see. Anyways, continuing on, it looks like they are going to put Dweller to defense, so I guess they really can't out it here. And over to Alex, who gets a copy of Bottomless, and here they're going to use that copy of Redox, banishing 2. Maxi's going to be chained. They summon the Redox and attack, and 4 Queen gets a copy of Soul Charge. Here I guess they're summoning an attack just to out the copy of Dweller. Or maybe, actually, now that I think about it, were they under Dweller before the last turn? And maybe that's why they didn't use the Redox? I'm trying to remember what turn it was that the Card Trooper, but I feel like it's been a turn or two. Or maybe I guess they were doing that just so that the Dweller wouldn't make them lose their resources in that sense. I guess that could also be a very fine possibility. And then here the Talea is going to attack in, setting the Bottomless back over to 4 Queen, who gets a copy of Mermail. Here Soul Charge is going to activate, bringing back Dionea and Mermail. Mermail is going to pop the Bottomless, overlaying for a copy of 101, taking the copy of Talea, and then going and normal summoning the Mermail, getting a copy of Deep Dark Trap Hole. Kind of cool to see that here, but it is a great card against the decks that have these high levels. And they are going to set that, and then in the end phase, the Redox is going to bounce back to hand. Here, Alex gets a copy of Lone Fire, and while that is good, oh, wait. Oh, I guess they just preemptive, wait. Oh, they forgot to pay the 2,000, which is actually relevant because now the Solemn Warning is not live here. But here, summoning Lone Fire using the effect and going into another Lone Fire, and then that Lone Fire is going to go into a copy of Titanial. And that is going to be met with the copy of Deep Dark Trap Hole. Here, Soul Charge is going to be activated. They're going for double Soul Charge. Double Lone Fire off of the Soul Charge, using the effect, tributing it off for that copy of Talea. And actually, now that I think about it, how many of those are they on? I think it's just 2 as of right now, as far as we saw. I think the last game we had seen multiple. Here, using the other Lone Fire for another copy of the Talea, passing it over. Here, 4 Queen gets a copy of Torrential, and it looks like they're going to use Secret Barrel, doing a bit of damage, and then setting 2, so now this Secret Barrel will just close out this game, which they're going to activate right away. So I guess it is sort of coming up kind of interesting to see that. Sort of cool, but here Alex will get to start this one out. Opening hands, we see Ignition, Card D, Moral Tax, Sanctum, and Deep Dark Trap Hole. So kind of solid hand here. And on the other side, we see Maxi, Talea, Miracle Fertilizer, Call the Haunted, and Cherubime. And then they are going to draw into a Miracle Fertilizer. So unfortunately, kind of bricked here. That's the one downside with this deck. I think the Plant Princess deck has a lot of potential and is really cool, but it can be pretty bricky. So here, it looks like they're just going to set 1, pass it over to 4 Queen, who gets a copy of Sanctum. After that, just setting a bunch of back row, keeping the Ignition in hand. A little interesting there. I mean, did they a double Sanctum? There's almost a reason to just hold the Sanctum and instead set the copy of Ignition here, I would say. But here, they're going to go for Card D, use the effect, tribute it off, draw an Ice Hand and a Mermail, so they probably sided into the hands as well, since we didn't see those in any of the other games. Over to Alex, who gets a copy of Barbaros, which is at least a normal summonable monster. It'll only have, I believe it's like, 1900 attack, but that's still pretty sizable. Sanctum's going to activate, going for a copy of Beagle Tech effect, popping the Moral Tech is summoned, popping the Barbaros, Call of the Haunted's activated to bring it back, Deep Dark Trap Hole's activated, so crazy back and forth there. Here, 4 Queen gets a copy of Moral Tech, they're going to normal summon Mermail, get the copy of Bottomless, and switch the Beagle Tech to attack and start swinging in, so they are in a very good position. Also, now that I think about it, did they have the Max C the last turn when all of this happened? They didn't drop it off of the Sanctum. Maybe they just expected them to go for a Moral Tech there or something. But if so, choosing to hold that is kind of an interesting play. Like, even if you're just swapping it out for 1 card, with how bad you're bricked up in your hand, it might have actually been worth it just to try to get through your deck a little more there. But anyways, here 4 Queen is swinging in. Main phase 2 going for Pleiades, setting 3 back row over to Alex, who gets another copy of that Talea, and unfortunately this might just be just about the end of the game, which it is. They're just showing them what they had, which obviously there wasn't a whole lot they could do, so kind of cool matchup, honestly. 4 Queen taking that one with this very interesting tech version of Cat. And yeah, so anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it, comment any questions or videos you want to see in the future, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified anytime I put a new video out, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to go down to the video description to find out how you can send in your hat format replays. Whether you won or lost, if you thought the deck you or your opponent was playing was pretty cool, feel free to send it in. I'm sure a lot of people would love to see it. But anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video.